Hi, friend. It's Laura Winters, your host of Miracle in Time podcast and owner of Your Light Holistic Therapy and Wellness LLC. You are a miracle, plain and simple. It's a miracle you are here. A miracle changed my life, and maybe this is the miracle that will change yours. Here we go. Hello, friend. So yesterday I was listening to Kyle Cease and his wife Amber on their Infinite Expansion on Sunday it was. But so the email came through talking about being your own space holder. And I was like, "Ooh, I need to listen to this." And so anyway, we'll talk about that in another place. But one thing that came through, and it was perfect because as I'm doing these daily doses of healing or daily dose of healings, I sometimes go like, well, what are we even trying to accomplish here? Like, why am I doing this? Am I really just talking to myself? Am I talking to everybody else? But Amber said something really interesting. And she said, as these so we're talking about how when something comes up for us, it's potentially a version of us right now, but it's most likely a version of us from the past, or it is something that your mother might have said, or your father, or sometimes even like past life things come up. And so sometimes when you get these feelings or these thoughts that come through, they're not really you in the moment. They're from someplace else. And so when that happens, it's really important to acknowledge those and to feel those through so they can be released. So she made this comment that was like, if everybody knew exactly what was running through our heads as these things are coming up, they would think that we're crazy. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is like the reason and the purpose that I'm doing this, because it is true. As these thoughts come in your head, and it is, whether it's coming from someplace else or you think it's coming from now or whatever, like you do think that you're crazy. Like there's often times where I'm like, oh my gosh, I get this idea, I get this thought, and sometimes I do think I'm crazy. And so when we're going through the daily dose of healing, it it's possible that they're swinging, like that's this swinging pendulum from one way to the other, because sometimes that hits like these depths of despair and this trauma that have happened. And it's a lot of times your inner child just wanting to be seen and heard and cry. And there are these other times where you get like this miracle information that's just like put in there where you're like, I just need to say those things too. So when they were talking about being your own space holder, it's being able to like not rely on another person to acknowledge and confirm the things that are coming up for you, because they've never walked in your shoes. Like we want everybody to understand us for exactly who we are, but they've never walked in our shoes. And a lot of times we don't even understand the stuff that's coming up from us. So, how can somebody else understand if we can't? So, what I wanted to do, and truly the purpose of these daily dose of healing, is to just really illustrate all of the things that could be coming up for you while you're healing. Because I completely agree that like if someone were just like plopped in my head, they would be like, wow, she is really crazy. And sometimes you do feel really crazy, but I'm so far along in my journey that most of the times I'm like, oh, I'm not crazy, this is just how it is, right? Like this is the healing process. You're going to have really good times, you're going to have really not good times, and they can come and hit you at any single moment. So I drew this image, and this is kind of how I feel like this is how it's illustrated to me. And so like, have you and honestly, I only know one place that has this, but like there is like a dessert, it's almost like a vending machine, right? Like, but it's like a glass case that has these desserts that spin in there. And so it just spins and it spins. But so this is how I see like past lives and, these things that are from our childhood and how they come up is that they're always in there, they're always spinning. And then at any given moment, whether it's like, someone actually pressing a button and wanting it to come through, or it just like literally aligns with where you're at, that something, that this feeling, emotion, this experience comes out and through. So, for example, like if I'm let's talk about like a past life. So if I am like driving in my car and all of a sudden, I remember one time, this is really not good, but um one holiday I was going to work and I was driving and all of a sudden I like had this like super dizzy experience while I'm driving, so that's not great. Um and I pull off the road and I actually go to my sister's, but even still, so this is like a physical experience of like you coming into a position of something that happened in the past. And so when I had talked to my mentor who I was working with at the time, she was like, you definitely accessed a past life where you likely were in a car accident at that time. So it was like everything, the stars aligned, and me being in a certain position brought forth this information, this feeling from a past life that made me have an experience in that moment. And so there are times where you may experience like just this sudden rush of emotion or something you experience in your body. And you might be like, where in the heck is it coming from? It's possible that it is coming from around you and right exactly here in this exact moment. But it also may be accessing something in this like rotating dessert tray that it's hitting just right and it's bringing something else to the surface, quote unquote, from the past, which is happening in that exact moment. So that's why you experience it in the now, because that's how it's coming through. So, kind of like going back a little bit. So, yes, these daily doses of healing for me is like the purpose is to be able to kind of like let you come into my brain and to experience all these things that people who are truly conscious and healing may experience and may run through their head. And to also, I think for me, as I had experienced that talk about holding space for myself, it's like this is an outlet for me to be able to hold space for myself. And that I am here right now just by myself. And I am like using my voice and getting out what I need to get out, but I don't need confirmation from somebody else. So you're going to hear this at a different moment in time. If you'd like to comment, please do. I'd love to hear what you have to say. But I also don't need that confirmation as well. Like this right here is for me. And that's why I started my first podcast. That's why I started this podcast. These are for me to be able to use my voice, use my creativity, and also leave an imprint in the world for other people to gain information and insight and energy and experience. So that is why I'm doing the daily doses of healing. And so I really hope that this has been really helpful. And I hope that you will continue to listen, because I'm sure as I am continuing to go on my healing journey, it will bring up a lot of things. So thank you for listening, my friend, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you for listening to Miracle in Time podcast. Please subscribe, leave a comment, and share with a friend. If you would like to know more about me or my services, please visit yourlightllc.com.